Hello and welcome back. Thank you for joining me. This is going to be the week 1 overview of my 100 PED challenge, where I try to make 100 PED on Entropia Universe. First off, I apologize for this taking so long to get out. Life's crazy, but here we are. We're going to start with the day 7 overview, since I've been doing a day-by-day overview. Nothing crazy here. At this point, we're out of most of our trading materials, and so we just have a couple of Mind Essence sales on the auction house, but here they are. So, for those of you who just want to see how things are going, I'm not going to hold out. Here are the week 1 stats, which we'll go into later, but as far as things are concerned, profit from trading is about 42.5 PED for week 1. So if that's all you wanted to see, here you go, and thank you for joining me. But anyone who wants to talk a little bit more about the numbers, let's dig into them. So here are the overall stats. As far as ending PED, that's what we have available to trade. The ending auctions, those are things up on auction that we expect to sell, and since it's later, I can tell you that they both sold within 12 hours of taking these stats. Ending inventory, this one's important. This is what we have left in our inventory at the end of the week. So we have some Force Nexus, we still have a bit of sweat, and just a little bit of fruit left. The total value TT here. So this is if we just went to the trade terminal and sold everything. The only thing of value here is the Force Nexus. The others are worth basically nothing in the TT or in the trade terminal. Then we have the next column is probably the most approximate valuation of the challenge currently, where that is the total value of items at the price that I paid for them. So that's Force Nexus at 102, Sweat at 1.25, and Fruit at 3 PED per K. And then the next column just projects out to sort of what things, or the value of everything if I continue on the path and sell them in the way that I have been, making the exact same margins. So that is sort of the week's breakdown for the stats, but let's dig a little bit more into the trades. Here we have all of the trades that were made in the week. The ones that I think we're most interested in are the sales. So over the week, I have 14 total sales. This does not include the 2 that are currently on the auction house, but 14 total sales. From those 14 total sales, with about 42.5 PED of profit, that leaves about 3 PED, just over 3 PED per sale. So, pretty good. But if you take out the one outlier here, which is this sale of 100 TT of Neutro bars for 180 PED, which accounts for almost half of all of my profits in just that one trade. If you take that out, then the profit per trade is about 1.67 PED for each trade, which honestly I feel great about. But let's take another look at sort of what's selling, what we're trading, and how it's going per category. So this week we traded in 4 different things, but really it's 3, and those 3 are Neutro bars, basic leather extractors, and Mind Essence. So by far the most profitable item here are the Neutro bars. As you can see, we have 5 trades total, or 5 sales of Neutro bars, and that accounts for 29 PED of our total profits from trading. the Nutrio bars have incredible markup, so even paying 126% for the sweet stuff, and I got pretty lucky with the fruit, finding that big order, or not order, but finding a big trade on 16,000 fruit for 3 PED per thousand. Just set us up to really make a ton of profit from Nutrio bars. And so that is by far our best item. We had 5 total sales, and if you look at this next one, which is total investment, or total invested, so it would have cost us approximately 240 PED to buy all of the items that we sold throughout the week at these prices, which is great. Making 29 PED in a week for 240 invested. That is fantastic, and I would take those numbers all day long. But let's look at the others. So the next one up is basic leather extractors. This one, just browsing the auction house, we saw them on the auction house, a large order at 200% markup buyout. And so we went ahead and we snatched that up, and then we broke it up into smaller orders and listed them on the auction house, sold them directly, anything we could, at 220%. And so we had 3 sales total for this, and the profit from those 3 sales is just under 10 PED. We have 9.87. Again, this gives us a good amount of profit, almost 10 PED. It would have cost us at the 200% about 150 PED to have all of the basic leather extractors that we would have needed for the week. So 10 PED at that 250, it's not nearly as good as what we were seeing on Nutrio bars, but it's still great, and I would continue to do this one as well. Then the last major item of trading that we have is some mind essence. So we sold a lot of mind essence, or a lot more than what we were selling of the other items. Total this week we moved 220 PED TT worth of mind essence. And on that, so that was through 5 trades, and on that we made a total of 3.25 PED of profit, 3.26. If we would have bought everything up front for the week and just moved it, buying Force Nexus at 102, Sweat at 1.25, it would have cost us a total of 252 PED for the total investment for the week. So as you can see, this 252 PED weekly investment to make just 3.25 is a lot worse, which we knew going into it. The return, or the profit margins on mind essence are razor thin, just about everything that has to do with sweat. The sweat market's a tough one. The last item here we have is just a little bit of fruit. This one is on here for record keeping sake, but it's not something that we plan on doing moving forward, just because Nutrio bars are a much better way to go. But we bought a little bit of fruit because, well, we want to keep selling Nutrio bars. On Cali, someone was selling some for 4 PED per K, so they had a little bit there. We bought some, and then a society mate needed just 500 fruit, and so we offered, or they bought it from us at 4.5 PED per K, so 2.25 for the 2 PED worth that we sold, or that we bought it from, and we made just a 25 pack off of that. But again, this isn't something we want to do moving forward, because we'd much rather be in the Nutrio bar business. So those are the breakdown per item. So let's talk about sort of the progress throughout the week. We made 42 and a half PED from trading, which I'm overall pleased at. I think this is a great start. If we keep this rate up, we'll be done with the 100 PED challenge in less than 3 weeks. We'll see if we can keep this pace up. But yeah, I think things went great. Everything this week, we didn't have any major blunders. We didn't take a loss on anything. Everything that we posted on the auction house was posted at a reasonable price. There's potential for some optimization there to adjust stack sizes and pricing and eke out just a little bit more profit. But overall, things went great. We're almost 43% of the way done with the challenge in just the first week. Awesome. But let's talk about these items individually and sort of effort and repeatability. So if we're looking at the lowest effort item that we sold, it was the basic leather extractors. These ones, you can't get much lower for what we're doing than this. We bought them off of the auction house. We sold them mostly on the auction house. It was just a quick flip, and we made some profit there. The margins that we were making were great for what we invested, and the risk was fairly low because these sell all the time at the margins that we were hoping for. So that one, by far the lowest effort, and a great markup, a great return on that. The Mind Essence would be next effort-wise, but as you've seen, profit-wise, it's really low. Again, Mind Essence, we were buying it off of, or the Force Nexus, we were buying it off of the auction house, combining it with the sweat that we already had. This is sweat that we brought in from Entropia, so there was a fair amount of effort from that. But sweat can be acquired directly on Kali to avoid transportation, or it can be sourced on Rocktropia, and I'm sure other planets as well. But you can source, or I could source a very large amount of sweat there. So the Mind Essence is extremely repeatable. It is fairly low effort, but the profit margins are really low. Sorry, that's the other thing I forgot to say about the basic leather extractors. Effort is extremely low. Profit margins are great, but the repeatability of it is questionable, at least in the manner that it was done this time. I don't know if we'll be able to find a large group of, a large order of basic leather extractors at 200%. I just don't know if we can find that on the auction house, or if the 220% fee level that it's currently at is going to hold. So Mind Essence is very repeatable. We could do this all day, every day, and we probably will. Even though the profit margins are low, we will continue on this path just because it's steady. The last one is Neutro Bars. Neutro Bars, fantastic markup. We made a ton on Neutro Bars. They sold quickly, mostly on direct trades. So the profits are even higher there, just because we avoided the auction fees. But repeatability, again, is the issue here. Whether we can find enough fruit to maintain this is questionable at best. Can we find it at 3 PED per K? Most likely not. I don't foresee us getting a lot of fruit at 3 PED per K. Because the margins are so high, we can go up to 3.5, 4 PED per K. and still make a decent profit. So we will continue to trade in neutral bars, but I imagine the numbers won't look nearly as good in the coming weeks. So where do we go from here? Well, we're going to talk about optimizing all of this. And so with optimizations, there's sort of two things that we can do to optimize the amount of PED we're making here. The first one is capital. If we had more capital, we could invest in more areas of trade. We could buy larger stacks off of the auction house to get them to source materials at a better price. Capital is kind of king here. Unfortunately, we are pretty stuck on the capital portion of this. As part of the challenge, we have 250 to start with, and so any capital we want more than this, we have to make it ourselves. So we're stuck there. But as just a random side note, if we were comparing this to taking the pure capital and no effort approach, which is deeds and shares, in order to make 42.5 PED in a week, according to Lore Spade's latest deeds and shares video, the Cali share paid out the most at 3 times this week. So that's 3 PEC per share at about 40 PED per share if you wanted to buy in on those. And so, long story short, even if you were to give them the benefit of the doubt and say, on average, the Cali shares pay out 4 times a week, you'd be looking at about 42,500 PED invested in order to make this, to make the same amount of profit as what we did in trading with just 250 PED. So capital is king. Obviously, that is infinite. Well, not infinitely, but very largely scalable if you wanted to just invest a bunch of capital and you can skip all of the effort, the deeds and shares. But for what we're doing, if we had more capital, we could trade in more areas, we could get better deals on the things we're trading in, and we could increase our profits that way. But we don't have more capital. So what are we going to do to increase our profits? Well, the other one is friends. This one I was talking to Sturge Entropia in his latest stream. Shout out to Sturge. Great videos there. I recommend them. But the key to being a trader and doing what we're doing is knowing people. Knowing people that you can sell to, knowing people that you can buy to. If you can source materials from friends, you can sometimes get them at better rates than what you could get them on the auction house, simply because they're not paying auction house fees, and so a lot of times they're willing to sell them at just slightly better rates. You can get a steady supply of things at a fairly fixed rate, which is important. Consistency is important here. If people are trying to buy from you, they want to know that you're going to have what they're trying to buy. And you can also get better batch sizes, which is extremely important for limited capital. For example, if we want to buy 50 PED of a Force Nexus from a friend, it will cost us exactly 50 PED plus the markup. Whereas if we wanted to do that on the auction house, we would have to look for a stack size that is close to what we want. A smaller stack like that, we would be paying much higher markup than the weekly markup or what the best markup on the auction house is. And so we would end up either having a lot of our capital, which is a very limited resource, tied up in materials that aren't currently being traded, or that aren't currently moving, because you can only move so much of everything at once, or we would end up paying above markup, or a higher markup, to get the materials we needed, and while leaving capital open, which really cuts into our profits. So that is going to be the focus for this week, is optimizing the process through making friends, finding people, consistent players to buy from, consistent players to sell to. It can benefit everyone. I can get a steady supply, they can get steady buys and sells. We can avoid auction house fees, which just leaves more wiggle room for everyone to make more. It is just a win all around. So that is what I'm going to be focusing on this coming week, is building out that trading network. Going into the future, let's talk about where this is going in the future. We're going to be moving away from the daily recap videos. We'll just be doing a weekly recap, and any trades that stand out, any major deals that happen, of course, we'll cover those. But we'll be moving to weekly recap videos. What we're going to fill the rest of them up with are just other videos, other thoughts that I've had. So these will be geared largely towards free-to-play, low depot players, tips on where you can go to do things efficiently, just little things that I've picked up, and we'll probably talk a lot about numbers. I love digging into the numbers, so we're going to look at sort of returns and ratios and a lot of things on that for trading and hunting and missions, and just all of the things that I've learned about in my journey. And then again, we're 43% done with the challenge. So after this, when we do complete this challenge, we're just gonna keep on marching forward. We'll probably set the next goal at 500 PED once we hit the 100 PED, and we'll go from there. So again, thank you all for joining me. Anyone who's made it this far, it's great talking to you, and we will catch you next time.